Welcome to the Digital Amateur Television Experimenters Night. This is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania. Amateur radio is a worldwide hobby that has many different aspects. Digital television is just one of the many modes and areas that are covered. Maybe you're interested in becoming involved in the DATV Experimenters Nights. You realise that you do not have to be a radio amateur or need any ATV equipment to participate anywhere in the world. Also participate in the night by coming up to the Queen's Domain clubrooms. Yes, right on top of the Queen's Domain in the heritage-listed Coast Wireless Station. You never know, we might get you in front of the camera or behind doing one of the many roles during the night. We get underway with our program on a Wednesday night from 7:30pm local time. We'll see you soon. This is VK7 OTC.
Okay, this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night, and I've got Steve, VK700, in the studios. How are you doing, Steve?
I'm very well, Justin. How about yourself?
I'm doing okay. Now, we'll get to why Steve's in the studio in a moment. Very exciting. Just before we get underway, I wish to acknowledge Tasmanian Aboriginal people as the traditional owners of the land upon which we are presenting tonight and pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging. They hold the memories, the knowledge, the culture and hopes of Aboriginal Tasmania. Now, we've got Paul, we've got Darren from Queensland, we've got Bronson, we've got Mark and we've got Peter, VK7, honorary VK7, VK3MV.
There's a few of those, isn't there? Honorary VK7.
Oh, they're all honorary VK7s, definitely. Now, the reason why I've got Steve in the studio.
Oh, I've had some interesting experiences over the last couple of months. So it's a bit of a story, so we'll go straight to that slide that you've got there.
That's telling.
Because
there we go.
The little marker on the map, so that map there is Mexico, it's pretty obvious.
Yep.
But the marker on the map is the Radio Experimenters Club of Saltillo.
Oh,
That's
okay.
it, yep. So I've had a few emails from them over the last couple of months, as I said.
Oh, now this is
a bit of a close-up. The nearest major centre is
Monterey.
Monterey, yeah. I recognise that name. I presume that's the Monterey that everybody knows.
Okay.
I don't know where Monterey is. So.
Cool.
But anyway, but I thought it was interesting that it's the Radio Experimenters Club of Saltillo. Very similar to the name we have.
Okay. Cool.
Anyway, so we'll go to this one next.
Now I'm intrigued.
So during the month of November last year, they were celebrating the 50th anniversary of the, let me try and pronounce this word correctly, Aricebo, can you pronounce that?
Aricebo.
So
yeah,
the
Aricebo.
50th anniversary of the Aricebo Message. And this was a 3-minute long message that was broadcast into space.
Okay, yes.
Allegedly
yes,
to
yes.
talk to
Aliens?
Aliens.
Yeah. Send a
But
message out
but
there.
it was more a demonstration of technical capability.
Okay.
If you look on the left-hand side of that image,
Yep.
there's a graphic there. Well, that graphic contains the data bits that were in that 3-minute long message.
Ah, okay.
So they all represent something. For instance, the white ones at the very top are the number 0 to 9.
Okay.
The next bit is to do with human DNA.
Okay.
I won't tell you exactly the details. The white vertical piece just there, that's the estimated number of DNA molecules in the average human, and
Okay.
then the blue bit around it is a representation of the shape of the DNA.
Oh, the helix, yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Then
Double helix.
what's the next bit? Oh, the next bit is the average height of a human, the shape of a human, and in hexadecimal the number of 4 billion people in the world.
Okay.
Then the next row of blocks below that,
Yep.
the yellow ones, are the sun and all the planets.
Oh, okay. Yes.
With Earth being slightly out of line because that's where the signal's coming from.
Yep. Okay.
And the purple image is just the shape of the telescope. And I've forgotten what the bottom bit is.
No. Okay.
But if you can look all this up. It's all on Wikipedia.
Yep.
It's actually quite interesting. So this is a 3-minute long message that was sent in 1974 on the 16th of November.
Okay.
And this is celebrating the 50th anniversary. Now, they sent out, over the month of November, a whole pile of contacts. I made contacts in digital modes, FT8 and SST primarily.
Yep.
And of course I received a lot of SSTV pictures. And lo and behold, an email arrived awarding me this certificate. Now, I never applied for it. I just got awarded it.
Well, there you go.
And I'll read you what it says, because that's all in Spanish. But it says, the Radio Experimenters Club of El Saltillo, in commemoration of the 50th anniversary of the transmission of the Aricebo Message on the 16th of November 1974, grants this recognition at the station, my call sign and name, for receiving and decoding the 5 images in SSTV. We appreciate that with your participation contribution significantly the success of this celebration. Now this is Google Translate.
Yeah,
so it's a little bit iffy.
okay.
And it's signed by the president and the coordinator,
Okay.
and it lists all the operators who were involved in this event.
Wow. Okay.
Now, yes, I did receive the images, so I emailed them back and accepted the award because, and I was grateful for it because I hadn't bothered to apply. I knew about it, but I hadn't bothered to apply. And there's a number there. Now,
Can I just say that's a very recognisable voice, face of Carl Sagen
yeah.
in there.
Yeah. So
the ones that you've highlighted.
the ones that are highlighted in green, I've actually got the FSK ID.
Oh, okay.
Because not all I could read the 4A CES, 4A2 CES, which is the event call sign.
Yep.
But I wasn't always reading the other call signs that may have been in there. But I certainly got at least 2 participant call signs.
Now, can I
FSK ID.
just point out that there is an interesting amateur radio link with Aricebo as well,
Yeah.
because the Aricebo Observatory was the observatory that Joe Taylor did his famous work with.
Oh, okay. Yep.
That actually got him the Nobel Prize. It was the Aricebo Observatory that he was actually using. That's so.
Yep.
And Joe Taylor, K1JT, obviously WSJT and WSJTX and all of the things that go with that. So fantastic. Yeah. There's a real linkage there.
Yeah. So all those images were received on 20 metres, apart from the very last one.
Oh, and there's even one with an alien. Let me zoom in here.
Yeah.
There's actually, that's one of the ones that you got the FSK ID from.
Yeah.
I love it.
So that was the event in November.
Okay.
So I knew about it. Like I said, I hadn't bothered to apply for the award, but they sent it to me anyway.
Well, there you go.
And I thanked them, and it was pretty good.
I love
it. During the month of December, though, they did another event. But this time, whilst I didn't know it was an event, because these are the images that I know that I received from that event. And, I mean, they're recognisable, but I couldn't read any of them.
Yeah.
I did get a couple of call signs, so that I knew they were from Mexico.
Okay.
But apart from being Christmas themed, there wasn't any indication that it was an event, and I didn't bother to find out. So I was a bit surprised after Christmas when they sent me this award. No, they didn't send me the award. Hang on. No, they sent me an email, and the email reads, and I'll just give you something else. Sorry. Where are we? These images, which are off my site, were attached to the email, and it says, with this 7 pictures you catch from one of our beacons on 14230, you can request a nice award.
Oh, okay.
This is for our radio club page and the email address to apply and all sorts of things. All the best for you and yours and Merry Christmas and Best New Year. So I went off to the link in the email and had a look, and there was, the conditions for that. You had to receive 5 of the images.
Yep.
And the other condition that was in there was you had to be able to read the call signs, and I can't read any of those call signs.
Okay.
So I emailed them back. I said, thank you very much for the offer, but strictly speaking, I don't qualify.
Don't actually qualify.
I don't qualify, and I'm not the sort of person that takes things without being properly qualified. So anyway,
but what? They wouldn't take no.
they sent me the certificate.
Oh, okay. Okay.
So that's it there.
I tell you what, very colourful certificate. Wow.
Yeah, and that was a 12 meg PNG file. It was,
Yeah, okay.
It's nice. And this one reads, the SSTV Xmas Fiesta 2024 Radio Experimenters Club of CD, try that word, Juarez.
Juarez.
And Radio Aztec Group DXs. So this is...
Oh, okay, this is a different group.
Yeah, but this the... so anyway, grant this recognition to me, my call sign and name, for his participation in the DXist event called, and I don't know what DXist was, that word didn't translate.
I think that's Christmas.
It could be. Event called SSTV Xmas Fiesta 2024. Okay. Capturing SSTV images emitted by beacons located within the Mexican Republic and abroad. And again, signed by various people, and it includes the 12 images that they sent.
Which are along here.
They're along there.
Let's zoom in here a little bit.
It's not a great quality print, but anyway.
Oh no, but I'll just zoom across, because there are 12 of these images.
Yeah. Now bear in mind, on air there was red writing on it, top and bottom of each of those images.
And Santa. Yeah.
So anyway, they sent me this certificate, and this is the email that they sent with it, which really blew my mind. Try again. Because I had refused the certificate, they still sent it to me anyway, and this is the email. It said, you are a world reference for digital modes and especially for SSTV, with your personal page of images received on SSTV and with the link to the worldwide SSTV page. So if one of our images reaches your receiver, we know the propagation is excellent. And that's fair comment, because it is.
Spot on.
I mean, XE2MAM, who is, his name's Mario, and he's the guy that signed the email. He's pretty much the only Mexican over here.
Okay.
But there's 2 of them. There's another one as well. But you can guarantee hearing them. If the conditions are open, you'll hear him.
Yeah, okay.
Anyway, so it continues on, it says, for all of this, and because you did receive really a lot of our images from the event, sometimes with the call sign of XE2JT, and sometimes with mine, well I changed that too, mostly with his, XE2MAM.
Yep.
We want to make a special recognition for you on your SST setup. Thanks for the systematic effort in favour of amateur radio in the world. So they're basically patting me on the back for what I do as a fun, as a hobby.
I absolutely love it. And I tell you what, the certificate's pretty impressive. That's pretty cool.
Yeah. So I've got 2 certificates now to hang on the wall.
And they go to a lot of trouble with their certificates, I have to say.
They did with that one, yeah. So the people involved are, club presidents or business owners involved in radio, from what I can gather, just by looking at what's there. But anyway, it's pretty cool.
I love it.
And
absolutely love it.
So I felt a little bit humbled about that. It's like,
oh well, truly.
it was a bit of fun. But
And you didn't really have to do much work either.
I didn't have to do anything. It was just like it arrived in the mail. But I mean, I tried my hardest with what I got, and my QTH is challenging.
Oh.
So
But hey.
but I got a fairly good outlook towards the States, Mexico and that. So.
Now, Paul's just said, Paul Pruss, pronounce Juarez. Juarez. Okay.
I cannot speak Spanish.
Thank you, Paul. Oh, we got Ken from New Zealand, and we got Raymond. Hello, Raymond. And we got Harry. There you go. They're all coming on. Excellent. Well, that is fantastic, Steve.
Yeah.
And thanks for sharing that.
That's okay. I thought it was worth.
And
I have my map back.
some great recognition of the effort that goes into keeping the SSTV cams on all the time and receiving whatever comes in. Something
I take seriously.
Yeah, well, truly.
And it's rewarding. When you do something and you do it seriously, it's rewarding.
And you get some recognition.
And sometimes I get emails or someone over the air will go, "Oh, I like your site," which is fair enough. That's what you expect. Yep. But this is a little bit more.
Oh no, well and truly. And can I just say, on a Thursday nights we held a statewide SSTV night, which is via a couple of repeaters, 2 metre repeaters. But the facility of being able to send something and looking at it almost instantaneously is excellent.
It's just
because you can troubleshoot.
Yeah. It's just unfortunate that both the monitoring sites are at the south and none in the north. So.
No, correct. And if the link's down, well, they don't get anything.
Yeah, so that's the only thing. But it's the whole idea of an SSTV site is so that you can check. And for that very reason, SSTV sites don't run autocorrect.
Yeah.
The auto slant correction is turned off.
Yeah.
So you can see if your picture's slanted.
Well and truly, and that is well and truly how I correct slant.
It can be annoying when someone's got really bad slant and you just can't work out what their picture is.
Yeah. Everything's skewed.
But most people are spot on.
Yep.
Very few have any slant at all. So.
And I put autocorrect on anyway. So, but
it's worthwhile. It's time to have it.
But it's interesting. Every so often, I just get a picture that's slightly off.
Yeah.
Even though I've got auto slant on.
Because there's a slight sync error somewhere in the image, and the auto slant can't work it.
Can't work it. Yeah.
It gets two different slants.
Yep.
You get it might be a perfectly straight picture, but because there's a slight discontinuity in the image and part of it's out of line with the rest, it will slant it trying to fix the problem.
There you go.
So that's the disadvantage of auto slant correction.
It's only ever really quite small. Like it doesn't distort the image, a huge amount. But and I've always wondered, I wonder why
that's the reason why. There's a slight sync error.
Yeah. Okay.
So
well, there you go.
It can happen. It's something that happens on transmission.
Okay.
Not on reception.
Okay.
So if your computer's too busy or not powerful enough, then you can't provide the data stream into the radio in real time. So it has a bit of a moment. Yep. And in doing so, it puts the whole thing out of whack.
And the sync goes out.
The sync goes out because the timing on the first half of the image is slightly different to the timing on the second half.
And I get it. Because then everything after that's offset.
Yeah. The timing mark, the sync mark is no longer in the same place.
Correct.
Even though it's trying to correct it,
there you go.
It'll fix it because it recognises the sync at the beginning of every line. Yep. But nevertheless, it still can't put it in the right place as far as autocorrect goes.
Well, there you go. Learn something every day.
Anyway, you've got more to do.
Thank you, Steve. That was fantastic.
Okay.
I love it. And congratulations.
Thank you.
Good recognition. Excellent. Yeah. All right, this is VK7 OTC, the club station of the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania with our DATV Experimenters Night. Now, I just wanted to do a little bit of what I've termed VHF and above field day redux. One of the things that we went through a little while before, we had a forum on, was N1MM, which is the contesting logging software that is used worldwide. It does have some user-defined contests in there, which is the WIA's most of the WIA contests, including the VHF UHF field day. I appear to be probably the only one that used N1MM. I'm not sure whether maybe Matt VK7MAT used it, and maybe a few people up north used it, but certainly down south I seem to be the only one who used it. Had a fantastic experience with it, very easy to use, and I just thought I'd relate a little bit about the use of it. Some of the things I came up against, which if you're doing a field day, specifically a field day where there are frequencies which are quite high, up into the microwave, you may come across the same sort of issues. Now, the very first issue was when I went to do a 3.7 gig call, made the call, exchanged the serial number and the signal report, and went to put it into N1MM, and I because I'm running a lot of transverters that all have individual IF rigs, I was using the manually input the frequency into N1MM. Now, I put in the frequency of 3398.15 megahertz, and it came up and said, no, can't do that, it's out of band. Now, the band plan, obviously, the default band plan, which I suspect is to do with the US band plan, means that 3398.15 is not in the band plan. And of course it won't let you, what it does is come up with a little error message saying, no, this is out of band, check the connection to your radio. And I'm using it in manual, so that's just a generic error message that comes up. Now the way that I got around it was to just put in, if you select 9 centimeters, so just select, there's a little band arrangement at the end of the working area, and if you select 9 centimeters, what it does is in the frequency it puts 33000000 and 5 zeros after that. So that's the default for 9 centimeters is 3.3 gigs. So that got over the issue because what it puts into the log, if it can get the frequency from the rig, if you've got the rig connected, it'll just take the frequency and put it in there. But if it was taking the 3398.15 that we were using, it probably would have rejected it because and asked to check the radio. So you probably would have had to have done a manual frequency input on that particular area. You can change the band plans in N1MM. I haven't quite worked out how to do it yet, but you can do some band plan modifications, local modifications, so that would get over that particular issue. Now there's a really nice feature that I'll just point out on N1MM, where you've got the fields that you put in your the call sign and the name and the signal reports, etc., and the comment. When you have completed a contact, up in your sent exchange, so the serial number that you actually send, what it does is come up with your last number that you sent, and it just is in a little greyed area, and it comes up and tells you what that last number is. And a couple of times people came back to me after we'd made the contact, and after I'd said enter and put it in the log, came back to me and said, oh, can I just go back to that last contact that we made, and can you please tell me what the number you sent to me was? And that number is appearing. That number is the last number that you actually sent. So that's a really nice feature, and I suspect the developers of N1MM were asked to put that in, and so it gives you that last number sent. So that's a really, really nice feature. Now, I talked about now. Just having a look. Hello, David, DBX, and Lionel from the US. Hello, Lionel. and somebody. When I talked about N1MM in the forum, there were two ways of getting around each of the fields that you fill in. One was a tab. Now the tab takes you to every field. You just tab through the fields and you go back to the beginning once you've entered that particular log entry. If you push the space bar, it takes you to only the fields that are relevant. So it takes you instantly to the call sign, so you can put the call sign in, and the next spacebar takes you to the serial number. And so, fantastic. I just went, the spacebar was then used from then on. So there is a difference between the tab and the spacebar, and I suggest you use the spacebar because it only puts you where you actually need to fill in information for that contest. And hello to Andy in the UK. Fantastic. Now, the other one that I noticed was if the grid square doesn't, so you're making a repeat contact with someone. If the grid square doesn't come up, you haven't entered something correctly. Because, unless the person has obviously moved grid square, but if the grid square for that particular call sign that you put in doesn't come up in the grid square field, you need to look at what you've put in for the call sign. Because if you haven't entered the call sign correctly, and I'll just point out, Steve that was here just a moment ago with his SSTV, Steve's call sign gets put in incorrectly more often than not because people put in VK700, not 00. So, and I did this a couple of times with call signs, and the grid square didn't come up, and I went, why hasn't the grid square come up? And I looked back at the call sign, and I put the call sign in wrong. So that's a really good little test to make sure that you're actually entering the details correctly, and if those previous details that you put in don't reappear, then you need to go back and have a look. So really nice little feature, really nice little feature. Now I then got to exporting log. Cabrillo export, file, Cabrillo export. That's as simple as it gets. You give it a file name, and it goes off. It gives you some warnings and some things that you know if the cent exchange isn't coming up with a serial number, then you need to do this. Now, the cent exchange wasn't coming up correct. And so, if you go into open contest in database, so that's file open contest in database, it gives you the summary page for that particular contest. So that's your name, your call sign, your QTH, and the other details about the section and the category that you're actually operating in that particular contest. Now, there is a little cent exchange field in there, and what you do is you need to fill in, according to the manual, 001 if you want it to pick up the cent exchange serial number out of your log. So I dutifully did that because I realised once I'd uploaded the log, I then had a look at the log and I went, that's not right. It actually had a word in there instead of the serial number, and that's how it was set up. That was the way it was set up to do it. It had a hashtag and a location, and that was all. So I changed it to 001. However, I could not get my cent exchange to appear. No matter what I did, I restarted N1MM. I went in. I made sure that they were numbers, they were not characters, etc., etc., etc. Could not get it to work. I manually put in the cent exchange in the Cabrillo file, which you need to be. Can I just say you need to be very careful editing a Cabrillo file because it is fields with fixed width. So you have to put the number in the right place. So I went back and had a look at an old Cabrillo file and copied that. So I put in the cent exchange, bit painful because I made 100 contacts, so there's 001 to 100. But I still don't know why it didn't exchange. I haven't looked at any of the chat sites yet to see whether it's a known issue or not, or you have to get that right before you start the contest, and I suspect that's the reason why. So I'll write that up in the video description, but you need to update the cent exchange field in the contest summary to make sure that it's right in the Cabrillo file. So that's a bit of a gotcha with N1MM. Now, reminder, put in logs by the 6th of February. So please don't leave it until the last minute. If you upload the file like I did and you realise that the file is not right, re-upload. You can re-upload as many times as you like. They will only take the last file, the most recent file. So I just re-uploaded it, and there are 2 files there, and they'll no doubt realise that why I've re-uploaded it, because the cent exchange was not in there. So anyway, Trap for Young Players. Now, just stand by. Hello, Kim.
Hello, how are you?
I'm well.
Here's a present for you. Happy Australia Day. And they came to the library and I thought you'd like that.
Oh, very nice.
It's 2 years younger than my brother.
Oh. The RCA transistor manual. I love it. I love it. The princely sum of $1.50. Actually, that was expensive. Oh, the Inari Library.
Yeah, it's out of the library. And they had a big clean out.
1962.
All geraniums too, mate.
Hey, I love it. Thank you.
Okay, no worries.
Good stuff. Now we've featured on here some 150 in 1 projects and all sorts of things over the last few weeks. Roger VK7HRW brought into me the other day over 150 experiments, and this is the microchip electronics, and he found this at the resource tip shop, and still in its original box. Oh, the manual, which we'll go into in a sec, and there is. I absolutely love this. There is. I'll turn this round. Most of the bits and pieces are still in there. There are resistors and capacitors. There are transistors and FETs and field effect transistors, NPN, PNP, and the FET. The FET's actually missing. There is the IC. So there is a LF353 op-amp in here. There is a light-dependent resistor just here. There is, I think that's where the motor goes, because there's a little motor arrangement in here, and some little cogs and bits and pieces. A speaker, there's a knob for the potentiometer. There are all of the resistors and all their colour codes sitting underneath it, and all of the capacitors. There is this wonderful little board, all of these little holes that you can see. Actually, hang on. All of these little holes that you can see here, they all go to little. Oh, hang on. There we go. Oh, no, gone too far. They go to little spring-loaded holding arrangements underneath each of these holes. So all of these, hang on, where are we? All of these are all connected together in a line. So you can put each foot of the transistor into the beginning of each one of these lines, and then you can use these switches, and you can push these into the relevant hole and make contact. And you can see this is where the IC goes. I think the socket's missing for the IC because there's no socket underneath that, but anyway, absolutely, and it's called the Tree of Knowledge, Electronics, Microchip Electronics Tree of Knowledge, and it comes out of, would you believe, it comes out of Israel. Bit topical right at the moment, but the actual kit comes out of Israel, and there is more than 150 projects in here. Quite advanced projects actually. It goes from the quite simple, so lighting an LED, basic electricity, the battery. It takes you through the theory and the reality, the actual putting things together, summation of currents, power failure alarm, creating sound with a loudspeaker, a light meter, switching regulator. It uses the transistor and the op amp. Basic digital computer circuits, the singing ruler, visual indication of different waveforms. It's quite radio direction finding, and a whole lot of radio projects in here as well. Metal detectors of all different shapes and sizes, a simple remote control, etc. So it comes with quite a thick and quite a large instruction manual, and the instruction manual it shows you. It shows you. I don't know how well this is going to show up. This page is not too crash hot, but it shows you the board and how you wire each of the wires up, and then the resistors. And there's the IC sitting here. There's a battery, etc. And this is the effects on sound caused by different waveforms. And there's the schematic below. So that's for each of the projects. So I just thought I'd show you this, and Roger found this, and I think he was incredibly excited to find this. I have to say I suspect quite a number of the bits and pieces in here are no longer in here, but most of the components are here. The little breadboard arrangement that's there, and it's all in over 150 experiments, microchip electronics, snap fit, no solder required. So I just bit of a blast from the past. I absolutely love it. And I had my own 150 in one electronics projects. I've still got the manual for it. I showed the other day, but I haven't got the actual electronics kit from it. That is well and truly long gone. So yeah. Now, SOTA IOTA. Now, actually, before we go there, I'm just going to outline. On last Saturday, the hot day. Can I just say the hot day? Ruben VK7 FREU, who's my son, and myself, were able to go to Schouten Island, which is now Schouten Island is Freycinet Peninsula on the east coast of Tasmania. Freycinet is known for Wineglass Bay and some pretty specky the pretty specky start of the Bay of Fires. So it's the big granite mountains. At the southern end of the Freycinet Peninsula is Schouten Island. Schouten Island is an island of about 7 kilometres by 6 kilometres, so it's almost square. And there is a mountain on Schouten Island called Mount Story, about 402 metres high, so it's only a one-pointer, but never been activated, and Schouten Island has never been activated either. And so Schouten Island hasn't been activated from the Islands on the Air program. So the Islands on the Air program is a worldwide program much like SOTA, and Schouten Island forms one of about 100 islands that are considered to be around Tasmania. So it's not the main island of Tasmania, it's islands around Tasmania, except Flinders Island and some of the Kent group. But Schouten Island is one of those islands. Its designator is Oscar Charlie 233. And so Ruben and I operated and activated for IOTA and also SOTA. Now between us we made about 60 contacts, and we finished up on 10 meters because there was a comment made to me on one of the other frequencies that 10 meters sporadic E was absolutely going off. And so we went to 10 meters and we got Taiwan, we got Japan, we got the US, we got New Zealand, and Ken, who I know is on here. I made contact with Ken and also Margaret, which was fantastic to get them in the log. And so between us we made about 60 contacts and activated for both SOTA and IOTA. Now, those people who made contact with us will be receiving an IOTA QSL card. One of the requirements of IOTA is you send a QSL card. So for those people who made contact with me, you'll be getting, I'll put a QSL card in the through the bureau. And yeah, fantastic. It was, we got to Tribunna at about 5 a.m. And jumped on to Murray. Now this is Murray VK7 ZMS's boat. So absolutely fantastic, and a huge thank you to Murray for showing us for taking us out there on his wonderful boat. Because it was 5 a.m. in the morning, of course the sun was coming up. So this is sunrise on Mariah, as we went past Mariah Island. This is a little island in between Mariah Island and Schouten Island called Ile de Foc. It's a little nature reserve, and the sun's still coming up. Now, this is Mount Story on Schouten Island. So we were landed on Morey's Beach, a very nice white sand beach, and there are two beaches that you can land on, and that's where all the camping area is. Can I just say it was the Australia Day long weekend, so there was lots and lots of people camping there, and there were yachts moored in this bay, etc., etc. To get to Mount Story, it's about a 3-hour walk, and that's at 400 metres. So it is, and you're starting off at sea level, so you're walking all 400 metres of it. So it took us about 3 hours, a little bit longer than we thought. This is from going up Mount Story, looking back along the Freycinet Peninsula. There we are. There's Ruben, VK7 FREU, and myself up on top of Mount Story. They have put a pine, a dead pine, very very straight pine pole up with a rock cairn to note it. That's where it is, Morey's Beach, and we went in and then back again. Unfortunately, we're traversing the pretty much the whole island to go to the other side. Pardon. This side of Schouten Island. This side of Schouten Island, all around here, are all cliffs. So you haven't got a hope in hell of being dropped anywhere here, and also. You would have a very very steep climb up Mount Story, straight up 400 metres. I think that's. Oh, here we go. Now, this is the elevation chart. So split this in half because one's going up and one's coming back. But that's you can see up a little, down into a gully, up another one. Down into a little gully, and then the main line up to Mount Story. Here's great. Here's Ruben. here's Ruben in the back of the boat. He decided to go out the back on the way there. And I'll just point out, I pointed out a a snake at the last one. Well, we got our big blue-tongued lizard that we saw, and we did see a white-lipped snake slither off into the bush. But this is quite a large. You wouldn't have been able to get your fingers around the stomach of that very well-fed blue-tongued lizard. What else is here that I can show you? I think that's probably about it. The panoramas that we... Oh, there we go. This is the... here's the operating position. Zoom out a bit here. This is the operating position. We decided, given the IOTA contacts that we were wanting to do, we took the FT897, and also a 18 amp hour LiPo battery with us that weighed about 3 kilos. And it was purely so that we could run more power for those international stations that wanted to contact us for IOTA. Now, one of the highlights, can I just say, one of the highlights was when we were just about to Mount Story, there was a wedge-tailed eagle that was riding the thermals just above us. And a classic, you can see why it's called a wedge-tailed eagle, because it's got a wedge on its tail. But this one was just riding the thermals, not doing much, not expending very much energy at all, but just going around above us. So that was a bit of a highlight. That was a definite highlight. So yeah, that was our SOTA activation, about 60 contacts, and yeah, really enjoyed it, and a huge thank you to Murray VK7ZMS for taking us out there and picking us up on the boat. So yeah, now the next thing I was going to go through, I showed this a little while ago, and I mean actually quite a while ago. This is a Byonics MT2001 module, APRS module. Now this particular module, this is an all-in-one module. So there is a SMA at the top here to connect an antenna to it. I have a signal stick that I have on it. This has the microprocessor on it. It has some regulators. On the other side, it's got an RF module, which is capable of a 1 watt in 2 meters in the 2 meter band. So you can program it using the cable. This is a little 3.5 inch jack that goes off to a USB. So this is an RS232 connector. So you can program the APRS parameters using the onboard microprocessor. There are two 18650 batteries in here, LiPo batteries, and the balanced charger that goes with it in here, and the socket for charging it. Then on the top there is the GPS module. So this is the GPS module that pokes through a hole. So this is the panel antenna, the little phased arrangement panel antenna, and then the GPS module that sits inside underneath that. You can see there's a little battery here which stores the satellite almanac once it's found its satellite bits and pieces. Really nicely, this little green LED flashes until the GPS gets lock, and then what happens is the blue flashes and this goes solid. And as soon as this goes solid, you'll see the little red transmit LED. And that's basically, it's found its position and it is transmitting APRS data once that goes solid, and then the blue GPS starts flashing. So that's all in a little box, and I initially had some issues with it, and it was not transmitting properly. and I ended up sending it back to Byonics, who fantastic. They had a look at it and they agreed that there was certainly something wrong with the either the transmitter or the microprocessor interface to the transmitter, and they replaced the unit. So full marks to Byonics. They had a look. It took a couple of months because I had to send it back to the US. It had to come back, etc. But all fixed and works an absolute treat. You can see that's it with the signal stick on there. I put the cover on, which makes it all waterproof, and I do have some tails here just as a counterpoise that I put on. I put on here just to give it a bit more antenna efficiency, other than just using the die-cast box. But works an absolute treat. And one of the things I've done is I've just put a little hole in the case, but then I've filled it with hot melt glue, which is semi-translucent, and it shines through the green LED that sits behind it. So it's waterproof, the case doesn't let the water in, but also lets me see what the status lead on the unit is. So anyway, I'll put the link to the Byonics site in there, but that's APRS transmitter, 1 watt APRS transmitter. You can have that in your backpack, and it's transmitting out at 1 watt. And if there is a digipeater somewhere close by, you can pick it all up. So yeah, that's APRS. Now, the latest and greatest low key magazine, which is the magazine of the VKQRP Club. Let me zoom out a little bit here. Arrived in the mailbox in the last few days, and I opened it up to find a fantastic article on adventures building a 630 metre transmitter by Jordan Clark VK3 ACU. Now Jordan's very that name and call sign will be very familiar to our colleagues up in the north at the Northern Tasmanian Amateur Radio Club, because Jordan is a regular contributor to NTARC and a member of NTARC, and has contributed this to the Low Key magazine. So he talks about the design using CMOS gates, 4049, 4024 divide by 8s, and then a little transmit arrangement at 630 metres, and all in a box. And if we turn over to the very back page, here it is in operation out in the field. So it's a CW transmitter. So he's just keying the audio oscillator into it. But that's his arrangement, and it's all written up in low key. Now, low key and the membership of the VKQRP Club is only $15. You get one of these magazines quarterly, and yeah, if you're into home brewing and low power and building things, absolutely fantastic, and recommend it to anyone. And I'll put some links in the video descriptions. Now, how are we going for time? Excellent, right on time. So, a little while ago, I featured a whole lot of different types of Morse code keys and explained what semi-automatics and bugs and all sorts of things were. And I showed this key here. This is a pretty unique key. It's called an Eddystone key. It's produced by the Eddystone company. It's in the stereotypical Eddystone crinkle black die-cast. This is a semi-automatic key, and what a semi-automatic means is you create the dashes by pushing in one direction, and the dots are created by the device. Oh, hang on, I need to hold it. So, oh, that's VK7, very rough at 7. But so this is an Eddystone key. The Eddystone keys are pretty special because there weren't actually that many of them produced. They were very much called the rat keyer or something because they looked a bit like rats. And you can see the action. You can't. This is just closing a contact, but you can see the action for the dits. There's counterweights here that you can move so that it changes the speed of the dits. And if you leave it long enough, the dits run out. So you only ever do 5. The maximum is, well, the maximum is 8 if you do an error message. You can probably do that. Oh yeah, you can get to 8 if you push it hard enough. But so called a semi-automatic key. You create the DARs, it creates the dashes, and you just do the timing for the dashes to get the number that you want. Very similar to the Vibraplex keys. Very, very similar. But the reason why I brought this in was there's a fascinating little bit of history around this that was pointed out to me by Kim Briggs, VK7KB. So it's called a Model S689, made in about 1948, so just post-war. The key looks a bit like a huge beetle. Yeah, they make the comment. Only about 350 were ever made. So the first batch of 250 were produced in 1948, which are the ones that have the serial numbers on the bottom. And I'll show you the serial numbers. So, and I'll turn it around so the serial numbers are in the right way. Let's see how we go here. Okay, now let's zoom in here. There is the serial number, which was on this one of these shorting bars, one of these conducting bars. Now, the serial number, if you have one of the original 250 of them, has a serial number on it. If you don't have one that's got a serial, that doesn't have a serial number on it, then it's one of the other ones that were produced afterwards. So, following an order for another 250, so there were 250 produced, which are the ones with serial numbers. Another order for 250 in 1949, but sales were poor and only 100 odd of the second batch were completed. So 100 of the 250. The serial numbers can be found stamped to the connecting strip on the underside, which I just showed you. And in 1952, a quantity of them were sold to Chas H. Young of Birmingham. And he sold them around the year from his amateur radio shop, and these keys do not generally have a serial number. So if you've got one without a serial number, it's part of that second batch. Anyway, it's just absolutely fascinating, and I have two of them, one with a cover, one without a cover, and both of them have serial numbers. So it's that original 250 batch. So absolutely fascinating, and talks about shows the part numbers embossed on the base and on the cover. On the cover, somewhere here. I'm sure it's here somewhere. It's hidden away. I know it's on the base. There's a model S689, and then there is a number, a part number on there. So anyway, a bit of Morse code history and a bit of interesting history about the Eddystone key and a semi-automatic key. So yeah. Following the showing of the pre-production device at the Amateur Radio Exhibition in November 1947, the initial production run of 250 was made in early 1948. However, poor sales, Eddystone pulled the plug. Now, Eddystone were known for their receivers, and you always had beautiful tuning on their big counterweighted knobs, and they're always their tuning and their dials were always large and beautiful to use and move around on. They pulled the plug, then sold it to Chaz Young, and he continued to sell them until stocks were exhausted. So it's clear the number did not exceed 500. No serial plates were fitted to the keys. A number are stamped, the connecting strip. Unfortunately, records do not exist concerning the sequence of these numbers. So anyway, bit of intrigue about a semi-automatic Eddystone key. So there you go. Now we'll finish up. Space weather. Now we are watching right at the moment because there is some space weather which is making its way to us. There was an event where it pushed out some energy from the sun about a day ago, and it's on its way to us. What effect that will have, I'm not sure, but keep your eye on the space weather forecasting service from the Bureau of Meteorology. Reminder that we have a foundation licence training and assessment day on the 22nd of February. If you are wanting to come along to that particular day, please let Reg know. He can be contacted at email reast, reast.assessor@gmail.com. Now, next Wednesday night, which is the 5th of February, we don't have a presentation night. It will be an ATV night, a Wednesday experimenters group night. And the reason we're not having a presentation night is because it's our AGM, which is on the 16th of February. However, on Wednesday the 12th of February, which is the next Wednesday, we have a forum night which will be streamed out. And that forum night is on sharing strategies on how to interest family members and friends in becoming involved in amateur radio. So we'll have a bit of a sharing session on how you get other people involved. So it should be an interesting night. So thank you for watching. 73 from the Radio and Electronics Association of Southern Tasmania, and VK7 OTC, which is the call sign of that organisation. This is Justin, VK7 TW, wishing you good DX, and we'll catch you in a week's time. 73.